Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. So last night I watched Blonde. Now, I wasn't quite sure what to expect from this. I had seen the two trailers and was a little disturbed. It seemed to play like art house horror film, um, and that is part of this film. But I watched it and I did a reaction video, and then I did a second reaction video and joined them together because after I finished talking for 10 minutes, I'm like, I got more to say. And it was very much just my reaction. And then I watched a few more reviews and I got a little bit more perspective on people's response to the film. And I'm glad I did a reaction first and didn't watch any reactions from anyone else because I got to have an honest reaction to it. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I found a couple scenes difficult and problematic, but I didn't get hung up on them or judge them because I was very much in the mindset of this is fiction. This is someone doing a story about Marilyn, the legacy. Not they're not actually pretending to be telling the real story of real events in this. But unfortunately, a lot of people are taking it that way, and a lot of people are sort of saying speculative fiction is bad because it takes liberties with real people's lives, and people still see it as real or see it as the between the lines sort of real story, which this film is in some ways, but it's also not in others. And a lot of people think that the director, who comes across as fairly aggressive, is it Andrew Dominik? Andrew Dominik, yeah. He he's been fairly aggressive in his interviews about it, and he does seem to be in it for the shock value. And a lot of people feel he is misogynistic and exploiting Marilyn for shock value. And I'm like, I'm not sure, but the JFK scene the film could have done without it. It's confronting, it's shocking, it's not funny, it doesn't quite work. A lot of people are referring to it as a rape scene, and I didn't read it that way. I probably haven't had the best experiences as a gay man sexually, so that's probably why I didn't see that way, but apparently it is, and I'm like, okay. Just the way he uses her, and it's kind of disturbing, and it doesn't seem at all realistic. They drag her in totally out of it because she's just high on the plane and everything, and then she gets dragged through like the White House full of people. There's like illusions of Jackie crying and sitting on a couch crying, and all these people, like the doors open, and I don't think that any of their rendezvous, which I believe they made many, would have happened that way. And it does just seem to be there for shock value, and the film doesn't need it. The rest of the film was shocking enough, and it was abstract enough that you didn't need to see some things in graphic detail. And this comes so close to pornographic graphic detail in that one scene. Just the use of her hands and the way it looks on screen looks pornographic. It's not, but they've done a brilliant job of depicting it without actually depicting it. So that scene for me didn't work. And what was the other scene? There was another scene I'm like, they didn't need that. It just seemed out of place. They had some night vision of Marilyn in her apartment, naked, running around when there are people in her apartment, her house. The night vision doesn't work. It feels like paranormal activity. It just feels out at that time because they didn't have night vision then. So that throws it out. And the other issue that throws it out a bit as well is the aspect ratios shifting between black and white and colour and full widescreen and 2.35 and 1.85 and 116 and 4:3, and basically they were recreating film and images and whatever format it was in, they were going in. That is jarring. There's no reason why they couldn't have just stuck to one basic widescreen format. So there are some things in the film that don't quite work in that way. Now, so far as Marilyn's psyche and her psychological issues, exploring all of that, that is fascinating, and the book does that. So they're working on what the book does. Now, I haven't read the book. I've got it. I own it. I've never read it because it's huge. And I don't have the time to read, and I have insomnia and sleep deprivation, and I have trouble reading or doing anything that requires a long period of concentration. But I remember the original miniseries, the one that was produced here in Melbourne, or filmed here in Melbourne, and actually filmed near my house. My tram actually went past the Hotel Windsor where they filmed the scenes with Arthur Miller and that. And also, I just want to mention that they edited the dailies at my university at the editing suite that we used to use. So I just used to like that, but obviously the Australian actor Poppy Montgomery was never there, blah, blah. But it was an interesting film. Kirstie Alley played, I think, her Aunt Grace. And they do get into the psychological issues that her mother blamed her, that before she was born, her husband, the guy she was with loved her, and then he didn't and blamed her, and she sort of blamed herself. And when they look at the multiple, she had two procedures, and the way they are depicted is disturbing. In both cases, we see the forceps opening her from the inside, and you see out at the light coming in and the doctor, and it's not comical, but it's surreal and over the top. You see the baby in utero talking to her, and it's far more developed than it should be, but it's her imagining what the child would be and talking to the child, and it's got some pro-you-know-what issues where it does come across being anti-procedure, and there are some issues there because they just gave the pro-you-know-what people, because I can't say any of these things because YouTube will algorithm this video out of existence. Not that anyone's going to see it anyway, because I have a small platform, small channel. But yeah, they do get into some of that, and it is interesting. And the film has this David Lynch quality to it. I feel like it's like the Shining of Marilyn Monroe bio films. They do sort of, it has sort of some Fire Walk With Me sort of elements to it, and there is an element, a chilling sort of element of horror to it and surrealness to it. That is, and it's beautiful to look at. Visually, it's beautiful, it's stunning. There's some shots that are just breathtaking. You're just amazed. And the style is exquisite. It should win Oscars, but it won't because of the JFK scene. He really did hurt, I think, the whole rest of the film. And you're going along so long for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think it's brilliant. And then you have a couple of scenes where it's like, we've gone off the deep end here. And it is depicting her mental instability and her perception of her world through her drug issues at that time, and that, which you get some credibility for doing that, but it also hurts the film in some other ways because these scenes, I don't think they work, and they don't work for the film. But any further analysis would push me into a very, very long review, and also would require me to take a lot of notes, and it's impossible to do that sort of review off the top of your head like I'm doing now. I just talk to the camera. I don't have any notes in front of me. This is just all from my head, which is why I can't go into some of the depth that some of the other people who I know are reading their script went through when I watched their reviews. But it's brilliant, it's mesmerising, it's chilling, it's disturbing. It does make you feel more sympathy for Marilyn, so it works on that level, but it does feel exploitative in some scenes. I don't think the director is the big misogynist that people are saying he is. I think the film is feminist. Now, they could have played up some of the elements of her life where she was strong, but they didn't. And one thing that really bothers me is they imply that the baseball guy, God, I've forgotten his name. Joe DiMaggio, oh God. They imply that he told her to quit Hollywood and demand better treatment. That's something she wanted for herself, she did for herself. She was very strong. She actually basically went on strike from Hollywood and got a better contract, better deal, script approval, director approval, I think director of photography approval, all these things that no other actress in Hollywood had gotten, and got her own production company and had made her own films for a short while there. They don't focus on that part. They focus more on the issues and the victimhood and so forth. So there are a lot of issues with this film. This film is going to be analysed for years. It is brilliant though. I was in awe of it. It goes for 2 hours and 46 minutes. It does not care about you needing to go to the bathroom. It is telling its story at its own pace as it wants, with no regard to cinema release or streaming. There is a ballsiness to this film. The director does not care. He's making this film the way he wants to, and that's great, except he has a slight little bit of a exploitative streak in him, I think. But it's hard to tell. I'd have to read more about the film. I'm going to have to do that and do a proper review at some point. But I just want to do a more informed review, having seen what other people said and felt from the film. And I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to go over 10 minutes. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. People are going to be talking about this for a long time, so I'm going to be looking at some other opinions. It's fascinating. That part is almost as fascinating as the film itself, analysing it and analysing other people's perceptions and analysis.